Yo, what's up, y'all? You are listening to the Lazarus Affect podcast, and I am your host, Lazarus Ross. Let's grow. Let's go. Aww. Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Laz, and I'm back with another episode of the Lazarus Affect podcast. And in this episode, I'm going to break down the subject of why so many men don't chase women anymore. Frankly, they're afraid. And by the end of this podcast, I'm going to share with you how to navigate this situation for men and women, the fear that men have, so men can understand it and women can understand it. And if you would like to create fulfilling relationships, to be able to get this whole thing out of the way, you can. But I'm going to give you a backstory first about my experience. Back in 2018, my relationship was going so-so with my wife. I felt like it was mid. It could be a lot better. And it was December 2018. One of my best friends recommended that I buy a book, and I bought the book. When I bought the book, I saw who the author was. So I jump on YouTube. I subscribe to his YouTube channel. I start running through the videos. There was other guys that he had as guests. I start finding all these other guys who had read his books and they subscribed to his philosophy. So I started subscribing to their channels. I started consuming their content. And I tell you what, that content was speaking right to me. I felt like, yo, this dude knows my whole freaking life. But as I continued to expand, as I continued to do more work on myself and uncover all of the things and self-limiting beliefs and unconscious behaviors around relationships and other parts of my life, I started to see that this body of work had me looking at relationships. It had me viewing women in a way that was incomplete. And millions of other guys have done this. And countless conversations I've had with men myself have also done this. This is a mistake that I made and lots of other guys have made by subscribing to that philosophy. It's saying that on the surface, hey, I'm being responsible for how women are. I'm taking responsibility for how they are and how I should act because this is how women are. But the truth about that is many of them, like I was, deep down in their soul, in their hearts, in their minds, they're blaming women for being that way. There's a subtle shame space that women really shouldn't be this way and they should be another way. And doing that can be extremely difficult to see when a person is deep in it. So instead of blaming, I invite you to take a look at responsibility. Responsibility has nothing to do with blame. It has nothing to do with shame. It has nothing to do with guilt. It has nothing to do with fault. It has everything to do with simply being radically responsible for what you have done in the past, owning up to that, giving yourself grace about it, and being responsible for how you choose to show up right now and into the future. So now let's jump into the part about why I said men are afraid. Because they are. A lot of men are afraid. I was afraid. And I've had countless conversations with other guys who were afraid. So recently, I seen this post going around social media being shared by thousands and thousands of women that says, the men in this generation want to be chased so bad. I ain't doing it, little mama. And it's interesting because I get it. Women want to be pursued. And deep down in a man's depth of his divine masculinity, he would like to call a woman in. He would like to be a safe space for a woman. He would like to pursue her. But he does not want to chase her. If you are chasing something, it implies that it is running away. So, ladies, take a look at that. Be aware of that. if you want a man to chase you, are you energetically in any way running away? Because this is not just a one-sided thing. There is two. It takes two to tango. It takes two to create a relationship. It takes two willing beings to be able to come together. See, back in 2018, when I read those books, I went through a phase of anger. I stopped, quote, pursuing my wife. And here's the train of thinking that I went through. And I know a lot of other guys have gone through because of the fear that I was mentioning earlier. I was a people pleaser most of my life, always constantly doing things, everything to please somebody else, putting my wants and my needs to the side, saying my stuff didn't matter, putting my stuff below everybody else's so I can make everybody else happy. I didn't feel safe to be myself. I didn't feel safe to express myself. So one of the things y'all get to know is it's a disconnect. Ladies, that needing to be chased, possibly energetically running away, and from your end, if you have been shaming men for being that way, for acting that way, if you have been blaming men for acting that way, this is a shame space. Wrong, broken, bad, not good enough, too much. Shame does not help people come together. It puts up walls. And if you want to come together, you need to tear the walls down. You need to understand this. Most of these men, a lot of them, they don't feel safe inside of themselves. Safe as in, and this is what makes them scared. Safe as in freedom from hurt, harm, loss, injury, pain, deficit, or death in your body, in your finances, in your emotions, in your mental health. Safety, being a safe person. First, a person needs to be able to create safety inside of themselves. And then if you want to connect with someone, that person, and be vulnerable and be open, another person needs to be able to be a safe person. So many of these guys are recovering people pleasers. Many of them were raised by single moms. Many of them had both parents, and dad was always gone working. So they spent a lot more time with mom than they did with their dad. Some of them had dynamics where they would become mama's boy and they would do everything to please their mom. So if this happened as a child and then they grow up and they want to pursue a woman and then they start to realize that subconsciously they were people pleasing and they want to break away from that, they're attempting to break away from people pleasing. They're attempting to be themselves. They're attempting to express themselves. They're attempting to be authentic to the best of the ability with the things that they know at this point. And like I said earlier, the underlying issue to that is that they don't feel safe. They don't feel safe to be vulnerable with you, be open with you, tell you their deepest, darkest secrets, tell you how they actually feel, because so many men have been told that it's not okay for them to feel, so they don't feel safe to feel. And then they feel like they need to be hard. They feel like they need to dominate and show women who's boss. So this is a two-way street. They attempt to protect themselves by being emotionally unavailable and distant. This is the quote, why men don't chase women anymore. Emotionally unavailable and distant, they're not going to chase. They're not going to pursue when they're being that way. The truth is, like I said earlier, men want to pursue women. But deep down, they're afraid to be taken advantage of. They're afraid to be cheated on and left for another guy who has more, even if they're providing. I've met guys who are freaking bread. Women don't even work and they're providing for their woman, and then the woman gets caught up in Western culture and then she's like, oh, I could have more. And then she cheats and leaves the dude for some guy who has more. Guys are afraid of that. And guys are afraid to say that they're afraid of that. They're afraid to come and have that conversation with another guy. They're afraid to go and have that conversation with you because a lot of men don't feel safe to have that conversation with their woman. A lot of women don't want men to be emotional. So that's where the disconnect is. So if you're a woman and you've been wondering why men don't chase you or pursue you anymore, and you want to call in a man who will pursue you, who will show you with his effort and his time that he wants to be with you. First, don't play hard to get. Be open. Be vulnerable. Stop being so manly and masculine. Lean into your feminine energy. And if you have been acting in a way to where men need to run you down, well, I invite you, take a look in the mirror. That shit can be exhausting. And guys who are breaking free of people pleasing and don't even know they don't feel safe will easily shut down and be like, next, I'm going to the next one. So if you want to be in a relationship with your ideal person, doesn't matter if you are man, doesn't matter if you're a woman, I suggest you stop listening to and doing what other people are doing. Stop doing what the masses of people are doing over and over again and expecting a different result. I'm going to say that again. Stop doing what the masses of people are doing over and over again and expecting a different result. For my relationship to turn around with my wife, I had to stop listening to what the majority of people were doing. I had to stop trying to be so freaking hard and stop being so fucking scared of expressing myself, of sharing with her the deepest, darkest things I wanted to share with her, of saying what I really wanted and what I really needed. So I invite you to put your guards down, open up instead, stop shaming each other for being different. There's nothing wrong with men. There's nothing wrong with women. If you have another label, there's nothing wrong with people. People's strategies can be thrown off. There's nothing wrong with people. Stop shaming each other for being different. People have had trauma. People have had all kinds of stuff happen to them in their life. And frankly, what will help people heal is individuals doing that work on themselves first, choosing to be safe inside of themselves, and then being safe enough for another person to be able to also do that with them. So if you want to create a fulfilling relationship, first, that relationship starts with you. Second, drop your armor with others and let other people in. If you want to do that, inside the Relationship Activating System program that I have, that's inside of my Creator School, you'll learn how to do exactly that. You'll learn how to make it last. You'll learn how to authentically communicate your needs and your wants so you can be understood and you can be heard and you can listen well. So you can come together instead of constantly putting up walls and shutting each other out. And if you're ready to stop doing that, if you're ready to create fulfilling relationships, and you're ready to drop what the masses are doing so you can get the results in relationships that you desire, click the link in the description of this podcast, find the call scheduler, and schedule a call with me. As always, I appreciate y'all coming and listening. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace. I appreciate you coming through and listening to the podcast. If you haven't already subscribed, please go ahead and do that. And if you know somebody else this podcast can help, share it with them. Let's go. Let's grow. Aua.